Hey everyone, welcome back to Wait It Gets Better. This is episode 65, and today's topic is the psychology of catfishing. Yes, many times in my life I've been a victim of catfishing in different scenarios, but I will also give a little bit of story time on how, as a teen, a friend of mine and I were kind of like on the other side of it. Because also, like I said, I was a victim in many ways of it, but I was also kind of like not innocent in that aspect as a teen though, which is different things. But I like I said, if I am guilty of doing something, I will always not be a hypocrite and just sit there and like make a whole episode without calling myself out for it and explaining. So yeah, I'm going to talk about that. And I have spoken about the catfishing scenario that I was in back when I was working at the deli years ago and all those things. And I've spoken about those. But like, I'm going to give this story a little bit, but I'm also like not going to give as much detail as I did in the past. You can go back to other episodes and listen to it. But like I said, also, I got the idea to do this topic as during my time off from doing this podcast back in like December, November, January ish. Like, I was encountering a lot of obvious, like, people trying to circle back and, like, catfish me on Instagram, and I would call them out in many different ways. Not in like a way where like I was like speaking out. Like I would just post videos of like people calling out people making fake accounts and just like bothering people, and it is what it is. But like I said, like I've closed many doors and these people just it's not even. So I got the idea to do the episode because it was just so like excessive at one point. So like I said, I'm going to talk about stories from the past of how I was a victim of catfishing. I'm going to talk about my explanation of how I was on the other end of it and how I don't think it was right. But like I said, I'm going to give myself grace. I was a teenager. But let's dive in. So I asked, what is catfishing? And this is what the research said. And also, this episode is going to be one of those things where, like, I'm going to talk about the things as they're being talked about. And I also wrote down things I want to speak about, which is like the things like that need to be said. And then, like, also as I go along, if something sparks me to give my opinion on something, I will definitely give it. So let's talk about it. So I asked the research, what is catfishing? And this is what the research said. Catfishing is the act of creating fake online persona to deceive someone, usually for romance, financial fraud, or malicious entertainment. Catfishers create fake profiles using stolen pictures and fake stories, aiming to build trust before asking for money or sharing intimate images. It often occurs on dating apps, 100%. That happened to me, Tinder, social media, and gaming platforms. Common usage examples and tactics. We have romance scams. We have forming a fake long distance relationship, then demanding money for emergencies, medical bills, or travel to meet. We have the proof of life avoidance, constantly creating excuses to avoid video. Yes, 100%. 100%. Constantly creating excuses to avoid video calls, phone calls, or in person meetings. That is why I ended up ending things between me and that person that ended up coming back as himself. And we'll talk about it. But that was when, like, at one point, I'm like, okay, you keep making excuses. He literally blew me off. I had I had a whole, like, I was throwing like a bonfire at my house. I had spent all this money setting it up. I made drinks. I made like a whole charcuterie of like s'mores. I made buffalo chicken dip. I bought empanadas. Like I went to the whole 9 yards to throw this bonfire for my friends to meet this person I've been talking to. But like, I don't know, like whatever. And like, he just completely avoided communication and just didn't show up and like completely ruined my whole night that I put all this time and effort into. So whatever, like I stopped talking to him, and then he like circled back like months. This is the kid Angelo that yes, the whole one that caused the chaos in my life that I spoke about, the one that, yes. Um, he came back a few months later. We were talking. I was only talking to him out of like boredom because I basically, like, I wasn't, all my friends had boyfriends and all these things, and I was just like, I was bored, and I was talking to him, and he presented himself as a 25-year-old white guy from Comac, and to me, none of that mattered, but he just, when I met him as himself, he was the complete, like, antithesis of that. So that is, like I said, that is catfishing 100%. And to me, none of that matters, but it was like, I wouldn't have expected him to be like, who, like, I wouldn't have, what I'm trying to say is, I wouldn't have expected the person that was presenting himself as himself, like, that was total deception, because I would have had no idea without the little clues here and there, and, like, overhearing him say things and just seeing things that reminded me of, like, pictures I saw with things in the background, like a pair of shoes that I saw in the background. And, like, I just started putting two and two together, and I figured it out, and he admitted to it while we were talking during, like, my days. Like, it was just, we'll talk about it, but let's go back to the facts. I was like, we'll talk more and more about it. So, using photos of celebrities, influencers, or unsuspecting ordinary people to populate fake social media profile. Love bombing, using intense early declarations of love, 100%. He told me while we were talking as him, he presented himself as a guy named Max, and he was like, he told me he loved me, and for some reason, I don't know why I said it back. Like, I don't know what was wrong with me. Like, there's obviously, and I'm gonna use the affirmations I'm using towards the end to help remind myself, like, girl, like, it's like, that was the past, like, you're a different person now. So then we have sextortion, pressuring the victim into sending nude photos and using them for blackmail. That is, oh my god. AI generation, using AI to create fake unique photos or voices to appear more authentic. That is very scary, as I was a victim of catfishing at one point. I can only imagine now that AI is in the picture. Like, that was back in 2020 when he was catfishing me. And then in, like, 2022, 2023 is when he presented himself as himself. But I'm, like, thinking to myself, like, could you imagine, like, what it's like now that there's AI? Like, oh my god. And then we have synonyms for related terms: romance scamming, specifically targeting victims for money through fake romantic affection; impersonation, pretending to be a specific real person, 100%, that's what it was. He was pretending to be this guy; fabricating a persona, creating a completely fictional background and identity, 100%. His whole presentation, he was a 25-year-old white guy from Comac, and he was, meanwhile, when I met him as a person, he was not even any of that, which would, to me, like, I still, regardless of any of, like, him presenting himself as one person, and when I met him as another person, I still ended up, like, I liked him, and I, like, talked to him, like, we were in the talking stage, so obviously, like, him being that, like, presenting himself as a different person, and him being who he was, like, none of that really mattered, but at the same time, the whole thing to me was just the deception of it all, and what he was doing behind the scenes when I finally realized what was really going on with him, and how he was trying to win me back and destroy things for me with another person, is really when, like, things started just getting a little scary for me. So then we have that. We have deceiving someone for entertainment or humiliation. That's happened before. And using AI-generated text to drive interaction. And we have warning signs of a catfish. They refuse to video chat or meet in person. 100%, that's happened. Their social media profiles have very few friends or recently created. Their stories are inconsistent, or their photos seem too perfect or like models. And they ask for money or personal information quickly. To avoid being catfished, experts recommend performing a reverse image search of their profile to see if it belongs to someone else. Now, I spoke about, like I said, the time I was catfished by Angelo. I'm naming him because I have no respect for him and anything he did to me. And I don't name people. I name people for reasons in this podcast. I name them for reasons if I just think that they deserve to be exposed. I don't name them out of protection, or I'll name them because, like, there's many different reasons. So like I said, now I spoke about Angelo and I said I wouldn't repeat it, but so like I said, he got a job with me and he tried to distract the person I was in a situation with. That guy, we talk about him all the time. I spoke about this. This is not me trying to because I'm not over it. I am so far past that situation, but it is because of the relevance of the topic and how catfishing is still very relevant for me. Not the situation, but people trying to circle back in a catfishing way, an obvious catfishing way, and it's I'm so far past that. You hear that plane flying? A catfishing way, and it's so obvious, and it's this story I tell because when I do my podcast, I always say, I do this podcast and I tell stories. I tell stories not because I'm not over them. I tell the stories out of ways so you can hear the scenarios and the things that I have been through and how I have come out the other side of these situations, and I'm a stronger person because of it. And me telling my story of the things that have happened to me and and I wanted to help you, and you know that you're not alone. You've been through something like this, speak about it. Speak up and say something. I went through a catfishing scenario where the person did very disruptive things in my life. And even though, none of what he did really, did too much damage, but it did damage to the point where I was traumatized. It caused me to have trauma. He came in between me and my job, and I now look behind me every time I go somewhere because I never know, you know what I mean? He caused problems for me in a way where, after he ended up leaving that job, I got PTSD from the situation that happened a week after he left, which was that whole scenario. We've spoken about it. But, me having PTSD from that situation also kind of leans into me having, a little bit of trauma from, the situation with him during my recovery period when I realized what had really gone on with him behind the scenes. And how, me having PTSD kind of interplayed into me being, traumatized from that situation. And how, having to just look behind me when I go places. Be okay, who's this person? Who is this person? Why are they looking at me this way? Who sent them? I will always have that in the back of my mind because of him. 100%. And I just don't... I'm just very careful when I do things nowadays. And, my Instagram after the whole situation became private. And I told you guys, my Instagram's not private anymore. I do things now because I have recovered from the situations at hand. And I have gotten better. And I'm not allowing somebody's behavior to affect the things I want to do in my life. I create content. I want my content to be seen. Not that I care enough about, if I get a huge following or if I do this, but that's my Instagram, anything like that. I just create content because I think it's fun. It's a hobby of mine. I love it. And if people see it, they see it. If they don't, I just enjoy doing it. And I'm not going to allow the behaviors of other people to affect me wanting to live my life, whether they try to catfish me, they try to circle back and create fake accounts in obvious ways. I'm not putting my Instagram on private again because of people's behaviors. That's I said, I'm telling this story because I want people to learn from my situation and how I came out the other side of it. And I'm more precautious now. I'm precautious in ways where I said, I'm more careful. What I didn't know then and the cautions I didn't take then, I'm now taking them now. And like I said, I'm a happier person than I was back in the time that was going on. I have my days, I have my ways, but like I said, I'm a happier person. I'm more at peace because I cut off the chaos from my life. I didn't allow the person trying to circle back to it affect me. I'm just living my life, moving forward, doing the things that I'm doing. I'm doing this podcast. I'm just in a better place than I was when all this stuff was going on. So, like I said, me bringing this story up is not me because I'm not over it or because it's just me trying to help the next person going through the same thing or going through something similar. Like, you can come out of this the other end. So, I'm sorry. Like I said, this is one of those things where, like, I'm going to give my thoughts on things. I'm going to go off notes. And, like, this is a very, very, like, whatever. So, like I said, so he came back into my life as himself. First, his brother got a job working with me. He got fired, and then he got the job, and like whatever, like it was whatever. And I've spoken about this previously. Like I was going through a really hard time with that guy. That was when all things were fresh with like me and him like having like a rough patch. And not only was it a situationship that I was in, it was also that was my best friend that I was slowly like detaching from. So it was a very hard situation, and he was just. It's very scary to think that like he knew. Like I've spoken about this. Like I'm only speaking. Like I said, he had people try to distract that guy, and it was just a whole scenario where like he kind of just came back just to win me back, and then it didn't turn out the way he wanted. He ran. It was like he kind of destroyed things for me, and then was like psych, like okay, like you're still in love with this person, so psych, like I don't want anything to do with you. And it's just like it was like insanity to me, but like I said, I came out the other end. I've moved forward. Whoever he's with now, Godspeed to you, because he did have a lot of controlling tendencies, and he wasn't even my boyfriend. Like we were just talking. I was so heartbroken from the situation that I went through, and I just needed somebody to like talk to. And he wasn't my boyfriend, but he had a lot of controlling tendencies, and he made it seem like I was his girlfriend when I wasn't. Like he was very controlling. Like he would get mad when people would come into the store, the deli that I worked in, and he would like get mad if I was bubbly and nice to a man. Like the man wasn't even hitting on me if I was too nice. He would complain and get mad. He literally like would follow me, have people follow me into the kitchen to make sure I wasn't flirting with any of the guys in the kitchen. The end all be all for me and him, like the nail in his coffin. Like I was already getting sick and tired of like how like it was like. And then another time I went to the mall, we were like talking. I went to the mall. We didn't even hang out in person. Like but I went to the mall and he's like, "So what were you wearing to the mall?" And I was like, "Why is that?" I was wearing a crop top and sweatpants. And he's like, "Well, why would you do?" Like he was like just pissed about it. And I'm like, "You're not even my man. Like you're not even my man." This and then clear like after I came out the other end of that situation with him, I look back at it and I'm like, yeah, like I dodged a bullet with that because like as much as in the moment I know I felt like, oh, this is so romantic. Looking back, clearly I had an episode. I think I had an episode with my bipolar disorder. 100% because I was exhibiting behaviors that were very not like myself. I was very stressed. I was going to school. I was working my butt off like every day. I would work every day. I would be working. I would go to school. I had an internship where like I was part of the leadership. Like I was part of the e-board and I had a lot of meetings to go to. It wasn't one of those things where like my life at that time was like so easy and so like it is now where like I feel like I'm literally frolicking. Like this whole week I've been feeling like I've been frolicking through a meadow, just cooking and enjoying food and like having a great time. Like my life was very hectic. I worked my butt off in many different ways, school, work, other things, and like the stress that was going on in my life at the time of me and him talking, starting to talk, and then he stopped talking to me, and then we sort like it was like a whole like push and pull type thing. It was a very stressful time, and I think the stress of that, on top of the stress from my home life with my family, I had no relationship with them, but I was also going through stress with them. And I was also going through stress with the situation with that guy. And I think I had a break. I think I had a break, and I think that I kind of leaned on the situation with Angelo in a way where like I was kind of like talking to him, and I just allowed a lot of the red flags to fly because I don't think I was in my right mind, and I said things that I didn't mean. I did things that I don't really I'm not really proud of. We never were intimate. We never hung out in person. Like it was never like we hung out at work, but we never hung out outside of work. It wasn't one of those things. I was just talking to him. So like for him to have those controlling behaviors and then to find out like later on he was absolutely just like he did all this deceiving behavior to gain me back just to say psych again and then tried to circle back after the whole situation, like that November, that December, with his friend calling me, the one that threw me under the bus with her friends after the whole whatever. Like I said, I spoke about this. When I say whatever, it's because I'm tired of talking about it. Like I put those situations to bed, but for the relevancy of the topic, to help the next person, I talk about it. But yes, I look back on it and I'm like, wow, so I really was like not freaked out at the time that this person was like I totally just accepted that as not a red flag. Like I said, that to me is an indication of like, okay, like I was clearly not in my right mind. And I don't think I was. And I always look back on that situation like I know that other people have gone through similar situations where they weren't in their right mind and they looked past the red flags of people when they clearly, like, when they woke up from whatever they were going through, they were like, okay, I don't know why I did that. It's very true. It happens. It happens. And you know what? I came out the other side of it, and I'm glad that I'm able to speak about it in a way where I can look back and just be like, oh my God, Alyssa, like, just, girl, come on. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I look back on it, and like I said, I look back on that version of me. That was before, like, that situation, and I'm putting my notes down. This is me just talking person to person. Whoever's listening to this, that version of me was a girl who was going through a heartbreak, and she was just I was going through a lot, and I didn't realize like the whole situation at hand, and I accepted it. Oh, this is so romantic. And I look back at that version of me, and I was like, I'm proud of that version of me for like accomplishing the things that I did at the time. But then I also look back on it and I'm like, I'm kind of glad that I'm able to now the point I'm at in my life now. I have a podcast now that is listened to globally that I'm aware of is listened to globally, and I want people to know that like I'm talking about this because I'm able to say like, you know what, you can be going through something so intense like I was, because you have no idea the intensity of the drama that was going on in my life back during that like it was like I think the winter to the summer of 2023 that led up to that scary situation that catapulted me into my whole healing journey. Like the amount of stuff that I went through and the catfishing scenario catching up to me years later being one of them, which is why I'm going on this whole tangent, is like I look back on that version of me who accepted the red flag behavior from somebody who catfished me and caused all this chaos in my life. I look back on her and I just wanna like I wish I could hug her because she was somebody who just I didn't have like I'm gonna cry thinking about this. I didn't have a relationship with my parents at the time. Like it was very like okay, like they paid for my school. I was always out doing things with that guy, and then I was losing him. That was my best friend. And it was also we were going through what we were going through. And then I had a girl I relied on as a best friend, but she had issues she was dealing with. So like I kind of like cut her off during the time so that I was talking to the guy, and like I'm trying to say, like I was a very very like hurt person during that time. I needed healing. I didn't know it. I was going through it. Like I went through so much during that time, and I just want to hug. I just want to hug that person. Like if I could go back and hug my 2023 self, girl, you made it out the other end. That's all I want to say. That's all I want to say to her. Like if I can go back into time and just hug her, I would. But at the end of the day, like after that summer, and after that summer, I went into like a recovery with my PTSD, and I have to say, like, what I went through has led me to this point that I'm at in my life right now. If you know, you know. And like I said, I came out the other side of it. Like, all the deception I went through, all the problems and situations, the drama, the heartbreak, all of that, all the catfishing I dealt with back in those days. Like I said, I look back and I'm like, it is what it is. Like those people that did those things, they're missing out because literally. Anyways, I'm sorry. I just went on like a whole tangent, but these are things that I'm like, I'm just saying what I have to say. It's okay. So let's talk about what the psychology behind catfishing is. And that's the one thing I never fully, like, I understand it in, like, the aspect of, like, being insecure about, like, yourself or wanting to talk to somebody you like. Because I was that teenager doing that to the guys I liked. But I'll never, I don't fully understand. Like, there's more scenarios that go into catfishing than just, like, somebody not liking themselves and wanting to, like, have you seen the show Catfish? Like, there's so many different, some guy literally straight up did it because he just felt like doing it. He didn't care about the person's feelings, which is a sad situation. My situation with catfishing happened because I can't even go into like full detail, but it was a very intense situation that the person on the other end of it I think just needs help, and whoever's with him now, Godspeed, because he has a lot of issues he needs to work through, and I hope he gets the help he needs. That's how I'm gonna put that person to bed. I'm never gonna talk about that person ever again unless needed, but that person, after this episode, I'm putting him to rest. He's in my past. For the relevancy of the topic, 100% he's being brought up, but I hope he gets the help he needs. I hope he finds somebody who's willing to tolerate his controlling, jealous behavior. But yeah, so I digress. So what is the psychology behind catfishing? Catfishing is driven by complex psychological factors, primarily loneliness, insecurity, and a desire for control and fantasy, often fueled by low self-esteem. It serves as an escape mechanism to build romantic connections without risking rejection, 100%. Sometimes driven by the dark tetrad traits, narcissism, that's what I think so-and-so had, psychopathy, and sadism, used to manipulate victims for validation or thrill. Psychological drivers behind catfishing: loneliness and social anxiety. Many catfishers feel insecure, isolated, or dissatisfied with their real-life relationships or appearance, using fake persona to feel more attractive and secure. Identity exploration and escape. Individuals may engage in identity disassociation, acting out a fantasy life to escape their own, often using the persona to test or live out different facets of themselves. The dark tetrad traits. A significant predictor of malicious catfishing includes high levels of narcissism, psychopathy, and sadism. These individuals lack empathy and enjoy deceiving others for amusement or power, revenge, or boredom. Some individuals create fake profiles to punish others, or simply out of boredom, using the digital space to cause trouble without facing an immediate consequence, and escapism and thrill-seeking. For some, it is the rush of controlling another person's emotions or successfully maintaining a complex lie. Common examples or contexts Romantic scams, creating a fake, highly attractive or successful profile to win over a victim to feel loved or eventually solicit money. Excuse me. Body image issues, using stolen photos, someone seen as more physically desirable to interact with people and they would otherwise be too scared to approach. Social experimentation, some users, often younger or bored, test the boundaries of social interaction to see how they react to false identity. Synonyms or related psychological terms, online deception, the overarching act of lying online, identity theft or fabrication, creating a fake persona, digital impersonation, pretending to be another specific person, impression management, a calculated attempt to manipulate how others perceive them, and catfish personality behavior, a combination of social anxiety, low self-esteem, or narcissistic tendencies. Note, research indicates that perpetrators often show low conscientious and high narcissism. Now, yes, narcissism 100%. That is what I believe Angelo is, in my opinion. Not because he was catfishing me, but because of the actions that came with him trying to regain me back into his life and then not caring how it affected me or the other person and the way he went about it, and then all of a sudden just changed his mind and then didn't care if I was like left in the dust. And then it was just you would have to know the situation to really know like why I'm saying the things that I say. And I don't have the license to diagnose people, but from my education, I can very confidently say that is exactly what he was just, he was showing signs of it 100%. I could be wrong, but I am very strongly confident that that is what was going on with him. Like I said, I hope he gets the help he needs, and I have done an episode on narcissistic personality disorder, and I know there are ways to help it, and I hope he gets the help he needs, but like I said, it's not up to me to get him that help. He's not my problem anymore. Unless he, tries to circle back, that then becomes my problem. But like I said, he's not my problem anymore. I hope he gets the help he needs. And like I said, so let me talk about the times. Besides that, let's put Angelo to bed. And I'm naming him because like I said, no respect for this man and the things he did. And I never will respect him again. I will never allow him back into my life. He did he caused a lot of problems in my life, thinking it was him trying to love me, but it was really just him trying to control me. I will never, he's forgiven, but he will never be allowed back in my life. But let's talk about times where I was on the other end of it, but never in a way that was hurting somebody or causing chaos in their life or trying to ruin things for them with another person. It was just along the lines of just trying to talk to somebody that I had feelings for, somebody that I liked. But hold on, let me sit up a little bit because I'm digging into this couch right now. But basically, let me give it a little bit. I don't need my notes for this. Let me give let me say it from my heart, the situation at hand. So, the ways that I would do the catfishing, it was never to be malicious. I think there was one point where there was a guy, and I've spoken about him previously, how there was a rumor, not a rumor, where the whole school found out about me and this guy when we were in 8th grade, and he was embarrassed of me because of my weight, so he stopped talking to me. So me and my friend at the time would make fake accounts to talk to him, fake AOL Instant Messenger was a thing at the time. And he wasn't talking to me because he was so mad because I literally told my friends, and that friend was the one that would help me catfish him, but she was the one that told the whole school, and I don't know why I stayed friends with her. But like I said, that is what it is. I just think that I was catfishing him because I was I really liked him, I had feelings for him. Also, I will say I did show a little bit of an obsession towards the person, whatever. But I was talking to him because and catfishing him. But there was one time where I was so mad at him that like me and my friends literally like pretended to be somebody from our school and like it was ridiculous. I condone it? Absolutely not. But I was like 13 at the time. I was a teenager. It was never hurting. It didn't hurt anybody. I didn't do anything like whatever. But like I said, do I condone it? No. Would I want to find out that my niece is doing it to people in her school? Absolutely not. I would not. My own children in the future? Absolutely not. But am I going to sit here and make a whole episode about being a victim of catfishing when I wasn't doing things as a teenager on the other side of it? Absolutely not. I'm going to call myself out for it. I was never innocent in that aspect. And I always say, like, I don't call myself a victim in any scenario unless I was somebody who was seriously, like, I had to deal with things that have been, like, I was a victim of catfishing. I will say that because look at the situation at hand. The person did do things that caused problems in my life. So that is, yes. But will I ever sit here and say, like, I wasn't innocent in catfishing somebody? No. So, like, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it, but I don't condone it. And I will not allow, like, if I find out my nieces are doing that, I will let my sister know. My future kids, I will obviously handle it in a way where I'm like, okay, like, you guys can't be doing that. It's not very nice. What are your reasons for doing it? Their reasons are to be malicious? Absolutely not. But if their reasons are because, like, they love this person won't accept them, like, obviously I would handle it in a way where I'm like, okay, well, like remind them that, like, how beautiful they are, like things like that. You know what I mean? Like, there's so many different reasons why people catfish. If you catch your kids doing it, if you don't catch your kids doing it, like, there's ways to go about talking to them about it. If there's like different reasons, if they're bullying somebody, that's definitely something that needs to be, like, you need to talk to your kid about that. And if you need to handle that in a way that as a parent you feel fit to do, but also in a way that, like, yes, like I said, there's a lot of, actually, when I was doing this episode, I never took the time out to look up things about, like, cyberbullying and kids when it came to catfishing. But hold on, let me stand up a little bit and I will look things up and I'll talk about it because I'm very, very curious on that. I was just talking about catfishing in a sense of as an adult, but me being somebody who was a teenager who has dealt with it, or you know what I mean? Like, whoa, my phone, sorry. So we have that, but before I go to talk about the next situation, let's talk about cyberbullying teens and catfishing. Cyberbullying teens, cyberbullying as a teen, catfishing. Let's see. This is a very, like, sporadic episode, but okay. Let's talk about cyberbullying as a form. Cyberbullying. Catfishing is a form of cyberbullying where individuals create fake online personas to deceive, manipulate, or harm teens, often causing severe emotional distress, social damage, and fear. It is used to lure teens into fake romantic relationships, gather personal information for harassment, or socially isolate them, as highlighted. Unknown Number, the high school catfish documentary on Netflix. Key aspect of catfishing and cyberbullying: the persona. Catfishers create profiles using photos of others, looking for perfect matches and building trust quickly. Targeting victims are often targeted through social media, gaming platforms to get involved in scams, love bombing, or sharing personal information. Signs of danger: red flags include a user with very few friends post, refusal to do video chats, immediately moving conversations to private messaging apps. Impact on teens: victims may experience anxiety, depression, and social damage. It can also escalate to blackmail and urging harmful behavior. And how do you protect your teens? Privacy settings. Ensure all social media accounts have the highest privacy settings enabled. Filter friends. You only accept friend requests from people known in real life, 100%. I literally do that on my Facebook now. I made a Facebook for just personal people that I know, people in my family, people that I have a high school teacher on there. Like, just, I don't add random people for no reason. Filter friends. Only accept friend requests from people you know in real life, 100%. Identify tactics. Educate teens to never share passwords, home addresses, or intimate photos. Report and block. Use the e-safety commissioner's guide to report abusive accounts on gaming and social media. If your teen is a victim of severe cyberbullying, you can report it directly to authorities like the e-safety commissioner for content removal. 100%. So I wanted to give that because I didn't think, like, I was doing this topic and literally all day today I was just trying to enjoy the rest of like my night and day because it's my last day alone in the house. So I kind of wanted to just enjoy it. I cooked myself some chicken drumsticks, which came out so good. All my cooking this week was great. So when I was doing this topic, I was kind of just procrastinating a little bit. And I wanted to like kind of like shape this episode as like I'm going to talk about the things I want to talk about. But I also want to just like call things out as like I go along and talk about different facts. Because I think last week's episode, when I did that, I kind of liked how I laid that out. But also, like, because I didn't necessarily I had stories, but I didn't have, like, enough story time for me to just sit there and write out a whole story. But this topic definitely did. And I'm going to, like I said, I shape these episodes how I want, but I wanted to definitely, I didn't think to add anything about catfishing and cyberbullying into this, but I'm glad I did and I caught that because I think it's very useful to know about that because I'm calling out my own behavior as a teen. I wasn't doing it to bully somebody. I was doing it because like I just liked them. But like I said, there was one point where I was like mad at him and I was pretending to be someone in our class, but I think it was also on the root of that was just me wanting to talk to him because he didn't want to talk to me. Whatever. There was that. So let's get back to the notes. Glad I covered that. Okay, so I did that. So let's talk about the differences between harmless catfishing and deception. So there's a key difference. And when I do these topics, I always like to figure out like, how do I go about shaping this episode where I give enough information that covers like all the questions people have about the topic or all the interesting things I want to talk about. So definitely talking about like the difference between harmless catfishing where somebody's doing it to gain romantic like interest with somebody where they just maybe feel insecure about themselves. I'm not saying that's okay that they're doing it, but what I'm saying is harmless in a sense where like their intention is not to hurt you. Their intention is to just gain your love because they are not feeling too high of themselves, or like the deception factor of it where like they try to deceive you to gain money from you or try to scam you or try to like bully you in some type of way. So there is a difference and we're going to talk about it. So we have harmless catfishing involves creating a fake persona for privacy or harmless escapism without intent to scam, whereas harmful deception is a deliberate, systematic. I gotta see the difference between those words. Systematic, okay. Fabrication, used to manipulate, defraud, or emotionally abuse others. Deception often involves financial request, refusal to meet, or sustained emotional entrapment. So we have the key differences and characteristics. So we're going to break it down, the difference between both. So we have harmless, often motivated by a desire to remain anonymous, low self-esteem, and I just said that, low self-esteem, sorry, I lost track, or simply exploring a different online persona. And then we have deception, which is the harmful portion of it, driven by malicious goals such as financial gain, identity theft, or emotional manipulation. And then we have behavioral patterns. Harmless generally doesn't pressure the other person, may not involve forming deep relationships, or ends if the victim finds out, often without causing severe distress. Then we have deception. Often involves rushing intimacy, isolating the victim from friends, family, or refusing to video chat or meet in person. The impact with a harmless catfishing is, though violating site policies, it may not cause severe damage to the target. Harmful results in emotional damage, reputational damage, or severe financial loss. And like I said, I have gone through a situation where I was a victim of a deceptive. It was like, okay, it's like a mixed bag, the situation I went through. It was deceptive, but it was also like the person was like doing it because like they felt the type of way about me. But also the things that they did besides that was like very deceptive, and it caused a lot of damage to me. So it was like a whole, like I said, it was an intense situation. So we have examples. So we have harmless-ish situations where using a celebrity's picture to comment on social media while maintaining an otherwise private, largely untruthful persona just to chat. Then we have deception or harmful, a catfish pretending to be a wounded soldier to solicit thousands of dollars in travel funds for a fake visit. Okay, so now like I said, the situation I was in was due to a friend of a friend. Well, she was obnoxious, setting me up on Tinder. So let's talk about dating apps and social media with catfishing. This is what the research said. Social media and dating apps act as a primary conduit for catfishing by providing I hate this. Anonymity. Anonymous. You're trying to do it anonymously. I'm sorry. I'm educated, but some words I just don't like. I can't sound them out, and I'm in a rush like talking, and I can't. So anonymously, and tools to create deceptive, attractive personas, with roughly 10% of profiles on some platforms being fake, 100%. And at the time that I was on Tinder, which was like, I think the last time I was on Tinder was like 2021, 2020, 2022 around ish. So like I said, people definitely, I don't think they had a lot of the things in place that they have now, where you have to be, I think the way, I don't know how they have it now, because I haven't had Tinder in like so long. I haven't had Tinder in like years, but from what I've heard from like social media, people talk about how like there's different things in place now where people can't have fake profiles. I don't know, whatever, but let's get back to it. So, leveraging stolen photos to build false emotional bonds for financial fraud, emotional abuse, or insecurity driven companionship. So, the role of social media and dating apps. I can't say this word. I'm so sorry. Hip Hop Anonymous. What movie is that? It's like an Adam Sandler movie where he's like, the old lady was like Hip Hop Anonymous or something like that. I don't know. Anonymous. I can't say it. I can't. Anonymously and ease. I'm just going to say anonymously. I can't say that word. The lack of mandatory robust identity verification on many platforms allows individuals to easily create false personas. 100%. That happened to me. Platform proliferation. Catfishing is rampant on mainstream dating apps, accounting for 40% of cases, and social media, where scammers use fabricated high-quality images to lure victims. Impression management. Users can curate their online appearance, often engaging in kitten fishing, minor exaggerations, or full catfishing, total identity fabrications. And then we have distance and technology. The digital gap removes immediate accountability, allowing scammers to use chatbots or deep fake technology to build convincing false personas. And the motivations and techniques. Romance scams and finance. Scammers invest time in building deep emotional connections to eventually solicit money or personal information. Insecurity and psychological factors. Some individuals create fake profiles to experience a different life or out of loneliness. And then we have revenge and bullying. Catfishing can be weaponized for harassment or to cause reputational harm to the victim or the person whose photos are stolen. Warning signs and risks. Too good to be true. Profiles that appear too perfect. photos that seem staged or quick shifts to intense emotional conversation. Avoiding verification. Catfishers often refuse video calls, in-person meetings, or phone calls, offering excuses as to why they cannot meet. And that happened to me, and I eventually grew tired of it. And Memorial Day weekend of that, like, I think it was like 2021, Memorial Day weekend, I literally was like, okay, like, this is not going anywhere. You're always making excuses. Like, have a good one. Like, literally, it was Memorial Day weekend. And I was like, I'm over this. And then I moved on with my life, and clearly that person didn't, because they came back and wreaked havoc on my life. So we have sextortion, a rising risk where scammers trick users into sharing intimate photos and then demand money to prevent their release. The platform and safety measures. Some platforms are introducing verification tools and AI detection to combat fake profiles. Users are advised to use e-safety commissioner's guide to report incidents and use tools like reverse image search to verify photos. And now there are total red flags about being catfished. Let's talk about it. Because clearly I was so lonely and like bored that I looked past like a lot of the red flags, and my friends were like, oh, you should stop talking to this guy because, like, yeah, I don't think he's a real person. And I was like, oh, well, I'm bored. I continued to do it. And I didn't listen. And clearly, me not listening. Well, I don't know. Because if me listening to my friends at the time and, like, not talking to him, would that have prevented him from coming back the way he did? If I would have ended it earlier than I did? Because we were talking for, like, 11 months, like, on and off. If I would have ended it earlier, would he have been less emotionally invested? Like, I always think about that. I mean, it's too late to even question it now because what happened happened. And it is what it is at this point. But it's like, I'm thinking about it, like, if I would have left that situation, not allowing him to get more emotionally invested, would things be different? But like I said, things happened. I've moved forward. It is what it is. But like I said, I'm thinking about that question now as I'm saying this. So let's talk about the key red flags. The key red flags of catfishing include avoiding video calls, asking for money or financial info, rapid expressions of intense love, and having a too good to be true profile with few friends or photos. Suspicious individuals often create elaborate, dramatic backstories, refuse to meet in person, and use stolen, perfectly curated photos. And then we have top catfishing red flags: avoiding video calls and in-person meetings, 100%. They consistently make excuses to avoid video chats or meeting in person, broken camera, they're working, or they'll ask for money or gifts. Asking for money, gift cards, or financial help, often due to an emergency, is a major sign of a scam. Hold on, let me take a sip of my Diet Coke because my throat's getting dry. It is a Diet Coke with lemon. That's why I started putting lemons in my Diet Coke. Like, excuse me, this week has brought out a new culinary part of me that I didn't even know. Well, I knew it existed, but it's like it's better. Like, my culinary skills this week have been on point, and even if that means like a simple sip of a Diet Coke with a cut up piece of lemon in it, 100%. I'm just kidding, but like, I've started putting lemons in my Diet Coke at home, and I'm like, who is this person? Anyway, let's get back to the topic. So we have they ask for money or gifts. Too good to be true. Did I talk about that yet? Too good to be true. Their photos look like professional models or celebrities, and their lifestyle seems overly glamorous. Rapid emotional escalation. They profess love too quickly, 100%. Love bombing to establish trust or manipulation before you've even met. Inconsistent stories. Details about their life, job, or location keep changing. The one thing he did mess up on that caused me to figure everything out after the fact was he literally, I asked him if he knew a person, because I'm like, oh, like, do you know this person because you're from the same town, you're the same age? And he named the person, and that person ended up being the distraction for that guy, because it was from that guy's past. But the funny thing is, the reason why I figured it out later on is because I'm like, oh, so he admitted he was this person back when he was catfishing me. So around that time, this person came back into the picture. And it's like and he admitted when he was the catfish, he knew that person. So that was what caused me to have a snowball effect of figuring things out and putting two and two together. It is like this whole thing, and I've spoken about it, you guys. I dropped names, I dropped the things that I figured out. It goes way back. It's like a whole messed up thing. But yes, so then we have limited online presence. They have few social media followers, no tagged photos, or a very new profile. They request personal data. They ask for sensitive information like passwords, bank details, or identification. How to spot a catfish. Reverse image search, which I have done in the past. Use tools to check if their profile pictures appear elsewhere online under different names. Now, the reverse photo lookup back in like 2018, there was someone like talking to me on like Instagram, and I was just talking to them out of boredom. But like they were pretending to be somebody. It was obviously a fake profile, but I reverse image searched and it ended up being like a completely random person. It was like a violinist from like somewhere, and I was like, this is not the person talking to me, but yes. And then we have they ask specific questions, ask detailed questions about their claimed hometown or job to test their knowledge, and that's what I did. And like I said, at the time I didn't figure it out, but later on when things started getting a little intense with the situation where the person presented himself as himself, it helped me figure out it was more deeper than I thought. And then we have check social media. Look for a lack of genuine social interaction, friends, or comments on their profile. If you suspect you are being catfished, do not send money, stop sharing personal information, and report the user to the platform. Now, people often, why do they stay in this relationship? I often ask myself that. Like, why did I stay in the situations I did, even if I suspected if they were a catfish? And this is what the research said. People stay in those relationships, or if they suspect a catfish, due to a combination of deep emotional investment, loneliness, the psychological need for validation, and the human tendency to hope for the best. Even when presented with red flags, the emotional bond created in digital spaces can feel more intense than in-person relationships, making it harder to abandon even when the reality suggests the person is not who they claim to be. Let me take another sip of my Diet Coke because we're going to talk about it. I have a lot to say today because I am somebody who has experienced this. Like if I would have known that, like I could have been on an episode of Catfish. If I could have been on an episode of Catfish, like where's Nev? Like let me meet Nev and tell my story. Like it is just intense. So here are some primary reasons why people stay. Emotional investment and fantasy love. Victims often fall in love with the person's personality, conversation, and the emotional intimacy they provide, regardless of the fake pictures. They become attached to the fantasy of the person, making it difficult to let go of that idealized image. And then we have loneliness and low self-esteem, a significant driver for staying in a pre-existing sense of loneliness or lack of self-confidence. The catfish often acts as a light in the darkness, making the victim feel special and wanted and validated. I think that's maybe why I kind of kept talking to the person, like regardless of it. I'm like, okay, this is a little sus. They're making excuses. Everyone around me is telling me, but I think I was just bored. I think I was just like, okay, like everyone has somebody, like I'm just gonna talk to this person because like I'm bored. Whatever. I think that was like basically my reason for doing it. Gambling mentality of hope. Like victims often think, what if this is true? They weigh the potential wonderful payoff of the relationship being real against the risk of it being fake and decide to continue hoping for the best. And we have manipulation and emotional blackmail. Catfishers often use manipulation to keep their victims, such as fabricating illnesses, starting fights to distract from questions, or claiming to be deeply hurt by the lack of trust. The Diet Coke is making me up, Chuck. So we have, they may use emotional blackmail to make the victim feel responsible for them. And then we have a sunk cost fallacy. Then we have, it is after months or years of talking, the victim feels they have invested too much time an emotion to simply walk away. Admitting it's a scam means losing that massive investment of time and feeling foolish. Now, with the whole situation, do I feel foolish? Did I feel foolish? I think for the fact that like I invested 11 months into talking to somebody where the red flags were there. Do I feel foolish for that? Yes. Do I feel foolish for allowing myself to think that him coming back as and presenting himself as himself and allowing him to just have that part of me kind of just, do I feel foolish? No. I kind of look back on that and I was like, girl, like, oh my God, you didn't have anybody in your life that could have like told you. Because at the time I had like one friend and we had a falling out. And I really didn't have anybody to really like talk to them about my situation and be like, this is what I'm going through. He admitted to this. Like, who was I going to tell? Who was I going to tell? So I really had nobody at the time. I was alone and I had nobody to vent to like really snap me out of it. So, like I said, do I feel foolish? I just look back and I want to hug that version of me. At the time he was catfishing me, I had people in my life trying to tell me. But at the time that we were talking and when he presented himself as himself after the situation with that guy, like I said, I didn't have anybody. I just, I wish I had somebody trying to snap me out of it. So I don't look back and feel like a fool. I just look back on myself and I'm like, girl, you have come so far. You have gained the relationships with your family. Like, you have come so far from that point you were at in your life. You needed healing. And you came out the other end. That's all. That's the only way to look at that situation is like, girl, like, you went from being so stressed out to just being so at ease in your life. Like I said, like I just look back on it and I'm just glad I came out the other end. The fear of being alone. Did I talk about that? The fear of losing the connection and returning to being alone can be stronger than the fear of being scammed. And in essence, the catfish provides an emotional high or fix that is difficult for the victim to give up, even when their logical mind suspects something is wrong. And to protect yourself from catfishing, use a combination of verification tools, behavioral red flags, and digital privacy measures. 1, verify their identity. Run a reverse image search. We talked about this. Use tools like Google Lens, TinEye, and Face Check ID to see if their profile pictures belong to someone else or stock photos appear under different names. Insist on a video call early. Request a live video chat, FaceTime or Zoom. Within the first few days, a genuine person will usually comply, while catfish will make excuses about the broken camera or poor connection. Ask specific questions. Post questions that require a local or background specific knowledge. For example, if they claim to be from your city, ask about a specific local landmark or event. Cross-check social media. Look for a consistent digital footprint. Red flags include a low friend count, recently created profiles, a lack of tagged photos, or inconsistent details across platforms like LinkedIn or Instagram. And 2, recognize behavioral red flags. Love bombing. Be wary of someone who professes intense love or affection. And I don't know why. I fed into it. Affection very quickly within days or weeks to build a fast emotional bond. Request money or gifts. This is a major warning sign. Never send money, cryptocurrency, or gift cards to someone you have not met in person, regardless of their emergency or sob story. Moving off platform quickly. Scammers often try to move the conversation to encrypted or less moderated apps like WhatsApp, Telegram, or Google Chat to avoid the security of filters and dating sites. And inconsistent stories. Pay attention to small details. If their job, location, or life history frequently changes or doesn't match their profile, they are likely lying. And 3, implement digital... Oh, my dog. She scared me. She just... Oh, my God. Whoa. I just, oh, my God. As I was reading this part of it, my dog just shook and I heard her collar from all the way down. I'm downstairs in the living room doing this. She's all the way upstairs in my parents' bedroom sleeping. It's like what, 3:30 in the morning? 3:30 in the morning. She just shook her collar and I was like, "Oh my god. Oh my god." It scared me cuz we're alone. So I just jumped. Oh my god. Whoa. Hold on. Let me chill out. Being somebody with PTSD in a home alone, and this is going off topic because what just happened in the moment. Being somebody with PTSD because of a situation where I felt like my life was about to end because of another person, I feel like being home alone this week has been. I've had a great time during the day, but at night is when I just have my moments of like, okay, like any little creak in the floor. And now it just happened with my dog. I got so scared. But like I said, like I just, my heart had to catch up because my heart was like pounding. So let's get back to it. So where were we? Like it was one of those situations like, whoa, where were we? Got distracted. Implement digital safety measures. Limit personal sharing. Avoid giving out your full name, home address, workplace, or phone number until you have verified their identity. Consider using a secondary email or Google Voice number. Adjust privacy settings. Tighten the privacy of your social media accounts so strangers cannot harvest your personal details or manipulate you. And do not send intimate content. Avoid sending explicit photos or videos as these are frequently used for sextortion or blackmail. And then we have number 4. What to do if you suspect a catfish? Hold on. This Diet Coke, listen, I should have had water because Lord knows when you have to use your voice to do something, you should not have something with bubbles in it because I am upchucking and having to burp. Why am I saying upchucking? I'm having to burp, so I'm like trying to pull away from the microphone. Okay, so let's talk about it. What to do if you suspect a catfish? Stop all communication. Once you suspect a scam, immediately cut off all contact. Document evidence. Take screenshots of the profile. Conversations or any payment request. Report or and block. Use the report function on the platform, Tinder or Instagram, to flag the account for impersonation or fraud and contact the authorities. If you have lost money or are being blackmailed, report it to the FBI's Internet Crime Complaint Center or your local law enforcement. Now, here are some movies and shows about catfishing. We recently had one come out this coming year. I didn't watch it. Everyone in my family did. I don't really watch TV, but I heard about it. And I was like, that is horrible that a mother would do that to her daughter. I forget the name of it. It's definitely in here. So we have popular movies and shows about catfishing. So we have Sweet Bobby, My Catfish Nightmare, follows a radio presenter whose decade-long relationship with a man she met on Facebook was a sophisticated hoax. Unknown Number, that was the one. That was the one I was just talking about, the mother doing it to her daughter. Unknown Number, The High School Catfish, explores a high school girl and her boyfriend targeted by relentless anonymous harassment, revealing a shocking twist. The Tinder Swindler, documents of a con man who used the dating app to woo women and steal millions. Untold, The Girlfriend Who Didn't Exist, a 2-part series focusing on the catfishing scandal surrounding NFL player Manti Tao, I think. I didn't mean to butcher that. It wasn't on purpose. We have Lover, Stalker, Killer. Chronicles the case online dating escalated into a dangerous high-volume harassment. Then we have Fanatical, The Catfishing, Tegan and Sarah. We have Explores a years-long scheme targeted at the indie pop duo. And we have Indictment, The Crimes of Shelley Chartier. Examines a high-profile case involving a woman manipulating a celebrity. And then we have movies about catfishing. We have movies about movies about catfishing. We have Catfish. It was the documentary that coined the term, following a man who finds his online romance isn't who she says she is. Then we have Hot Blonde. It is a documentary about a deadly online love triangle. We have Creep and Creep 2 films, frequently cited for showing terrifying scenarios of online deception. Then we have Hashtag. It is a narrative film about a young woman finding and losing love online. Now, here is the celebrity portion of it. Like I said, I always do this part of the show with the highest respect for those I'm talking about and the highest consideration. But this, I'm looking at it. These are definitely stories that they were open about. So I'm not. So we have Iggy Azalea. The rapper revealed she was targeted by a catfish. Nev Schulman, he is the one that made the show. We have the catfish. The TV show host was famously catfished twice before making a career out of exposing them. And then we have Brad Paisley and Kimberly Williams Paisley. The couple was targeted by a woman posing as a sick child, a case that involved emotional manipulation. We have Drew Barrymore. I love her. Actress revealed that she was catfished on a dating app by someone pretending to be an NFL player. Okay. We have Danielle Fishel. The Boy Meets World actress was duped by a fake persona. Chris Anderson, a former NBA player who famously targeted in a complex scheme. We have Mary Brown. She's a Sister Wives star reported being catfished, which involves an online relationship. Thomas Gibson, the actor, was duped by an online persona. Kate Gosselin was targeted by the same person who scammed the Paisleys, which led to a dedicated fraudulent episode of her show. We have Manti Te'o, often viewed as the perpetrator's victim or target. The football player was famously involved in a massive fabricated online relationship scandal. And then we have celebrities whose identities were used for catfishing. We have Brad Pitt. Its fraudsters frequently pose as Brad Pitt to scam fans, with the victim losing over $830K. Bruce Springsteen, victim sent over $11,000 in gift cards to a scammer pretending to be the boss. And we have James Martin. We have a fan lost $5,000 to a person posing as the TV chef. We have Gary Barlow. He is a scammer. A scammer used his name to trick a victim into sending explicit images. Now, here are some resources for catfishing victims to focus on treating the betrayal trauma, shame, and loss of trust. So we have the Specialized Support and Groups organizations, fightcybercrime.org, which offers a 10-week virtual peer support program designed to help romance, fraud, catfish survivors process emotional trauma and shame. I definitely should look into one of these, because I feel like I have a lot of trauma from that situation, not because I feel like it caused a lot of issues in my life that I now also have to look the other way or look behind me when I go places. Turn to Me provides free confidential online support groups facilitated by mental health professionals. We have Cyber Smile, a foundation, offers a comprehensive help center and an AI assistant for victims of online abuse. And we have the AARP Fraud Watch Network. It provides a peer support groups for fraud victims, particularly for adults aged 60 and over. Then we have mental health crisis support, the 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. Dial or text 988 in the U.S. or Canada for 24/7 free confidential support or emotional distress. The NAMI Helpline, it provides emotional support, resources, and information for those facing the mental health challenges. Give an Hour offers specialized mental health support for survivors of human-made trauma. And then we have therapeutic approaches and self-care, trauma-informed therapy, seeking therapists who specialize in betrayal trauma, EMDR, which is eye movement desensitization, desensitization and reprocessing, or somatic experiencing to help process the emotional trauma stored in the nervous system. We have grounding techniques, practicing mindfulness, yoga, and breath work can help alleviate the feelings of panic and intense anxiety. Immediate safety measures: report the catfish, block and report the individual on the platform where you met, and report authorities if financial loss occurred. And secure accounts. If identity theft is suspected, change passwords and monitor credit. And disclaimer: if you are in immediate danger, experiencing a crisis, please call 988 in the U.S. or local emergency services immediately. Now, here is my favorite portion, and I definitely need one of these because doing this episode is bringing up a lot for me because, like I said, it was a situation where it wasn't just a cut and dry, like I was being catfished, the person went away. It was one of those situations where the person ended up becoming a stalker, and it caused problems in my life that caused a lot of emotional distress for me. So like I said, it was one of those situations where like I definitely need to hear these affirmations, and I know not only do I need to hear the affirmations about that the people who have been in the same situation I have been in, or in a catfishing situation where they feel like a fool, there's definitely affirmations that'll help. Also, for the people who do catfishing, and there's the harmless ones. Here are definitely affirmations for that. So let's talk about it. So for self-worth and truth, these are affirmations for people who have been catfished. For self-worth and truth, I am worthy of love and respect, and I deserve honesty in all my relationships. My emotions and feelings are valid, and I am not naive for trusting. I am not a failure for trusting someone else's false image. I am safe in my own skin and in my own story, and I'm releasing the shame and blame. What happened is not my fault. I am not responsible for the lies of others. I release the shame of being catfish and reclaim my confidence. I am stronger than this betrayal, and I will rise above it. Um, this situation does not define my future or my value. I trust my intuition to guide me toward authentic people. I am allowed to protect my heart and set strong boundaries. I'm worthy of a life that I love, regardless of the setback. I am choosing to heal with grace, and my healing is not linear. And these affirmations suggest that it's to help foster a new beginning. And actionable steps for healing: forgive yourself, acknowledge that you were looking for connection, acknowledge your feelings, that it is okay to be embarrassed, angry, or sad. Focus on the real world, engage in hobbies and with real life friends, and go no contact. Cut off all contact with the catfish and break the trauma bond. 100% that's what I've tried to do, or I am doing. Affirmations for individuals who have engaged in catfishing can focus on overcoming the insecurity and loneliness that prompted the behavior, cultivating self-worth, and finding the courage to transition towards honesty. I love that. I love that the research said that. So the affirmations for self-worth and authenticity. I am enough just as I am without a mask. My real life is worthy of love and connection. I have the courage to show up as my true self. I choose honesty over the comfort of a lie. I am worthy of building genuine, trusting relationships. Affirmations for stepping away from the persona. I release the need to pretend. I can create new, honest beginning. I possess the strength to reveal the truth. I am not my mistakes. I am capable of change. I honor others by being honest with them. And here's supportive perspectives for moving forward. Acknowledge and act. The first step to overcoming the need to catfish is acknowledging the behavior. Excuse me, I got a post nasal drip right now. Often in a safe space like therapy. Embrace truth, confessing to the person being misled or gradually removing the mask allows for the possibility of genuine connection and or necessary closure. Excuse me. Focus on reality. Shift energy from creating a fake persona to building authentic in-person and verifiable online connections. If catfishing is rooted in severe anxiety or social issues, seeking therapy is highly recommended to address the underlying causes. 100%. And that is the end of the episode. So thank you guys for listening. In this, I think I'm at like a hour and 16 minutes on this episode. I thought it was going to be shorter than that, but I had a lot to say because like I said, I'm somebody who went through this in a very intense way, and I came out the other end just to be in the place that I'm at in my life right now. And yeah, so if I've been through it and I came out the other side, so can you. So I just want to hug somebody who feels like them trusting somebody because they needed companionship. I feel like I just want to hug them because I've been that person, and don't feel like a fool. I hope those affirmations I just said help you. And even for somebody who's catfishing, I hope those affirmations help you too. You can come out the other side of what you're doing, and become a better person. And I'm not saying you're a bad person because of what you're doing. There are rooted causes for what you're doing, but just change your ways in ways that don't hurt other people. So thank you guys for listening. I hope, like I said, I hope I covered everything. I hope this was helpful. I'm speaking my truth about the situation. I even went on tangents that I didn't need to go on, but it was all like circled back to the reason, like, this whole episode. It was very relevant. Now that I did this episode, I hope for my own sake, like me doing this podcast definitely has healed me in many different ways for speaking things out loud that have happened to me. I hope that I don't have to talk about this person in the future that catfished me and caused all these problems. I hope I can put it to bed now. I will move forward from that situation knowing that what that person tried to cause didn't really you know what I'm talking about. So let's just this situation, that person is now put to bed. I can move forward. So thank you guys for listening. Next week's episode will be about Down syndrome. Definitely something I wanted to talk about. I follow so many beautiful mothers who have children with Down syndrome. I follow so many people with Down syndrome. I definitely was seeing, like, as I was thinking about topics that I wanted to do after I was talking about the psychology of catfishing, I was seeing so many different signs for me to do a topic about Down syndrome. And I definitely want to talk about it. It's definitely something. I think it's going to be a good episode. I'm going to get a lot of good information. I'm going to definitely, this whole week leading up to next week, I want to look up, like, I want creators that, I want creators on social media. I'm going to have to shout a lot of them out because I feel like, when I do certain topics, I want to shout out a lot of people on social media that I know are relevant to the topic. So I don't know the exact names, but there are some people I do know that I want to, like, shout out. But I don't know the names of their Instagram handles, but I definitely will. I see it over this week. So yeah. So thank you guys for listening. If you or anyone you know is in need of help, I'm giving my global tips now. So, my global, resources. I'm sorry, I'm like shot today. So we have the Global Suicide Prevention Resources. We have the International Association for Suicide Prevention. It maintains a worldwide directory of crisis centers and helplines. We have the Befrienders Worldwide, a network with hundreds of emotional support centers in dozens of countries offering phone, email, and chat support. The Find a Helpline, an online tool that connects people to crisis lines in many countries and languages. The website is findahelpline.com, and they're definitely helpful, and they allow people to search by country and find local crisis support quickly. And my normal, everyday resources, we have the text HOME to 741-741 for a free confidential conversation with a trained counselor at any time of day. Text or call 988 or use the chat function at 988lifeline.org. 988 continues to offer support to anyone who needs it, but no longer offers LGBTQ support. If you're looking for specialized LGBTQ plus support, you can contact the Trevor Project directly. Call 1-866-488-7386 or text START to 678-678 or connect online at trvr.org/get-help for the same free secure support as always. You can find more crisis resources at thejedfoundation.org/crisis. And the Lifeline for Canada for the LGBTQ+ is 1-877-330-6366. You can call the NAMI helpline at 800-950-6264. Or you can text NAMI, which is NAMI, to 62640. And the Find Help tool at twloha.com/find-help. And peer support groups at twloha.com/peer support. And the Mental Health Toolkit, which is at mentalhealthtoolkit.co. And you can find the crisis text line at TWLOHA. Guys, I'm sleeping after this. You can text TWLOHA to 741-741. So, thank you guys for listening. Like I said, I am so grateful for those of you who listen. I really do really love you guys. I don't have to know who you are, but I love you for the support that you show and you listen. This is why I do what I do. I hope you guys know that no matter what is going on right now in the world, this too shall pass. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your weekends. I know I definitely will. I love you guys. Stay well. And if you feel like you need to reach out for help, do not hesitate to reach out for the resources I just gave, whether globally, whether nationally. I give the sources that I give to help people. I love you guys. Remember, you are loved. You are enough. You are strong. You are capable. And you are worthy. I love you guys so much. Enjoy your weekends. Bye bye.